Welcome everyone to the CH News Special. Hamilton welcomes Queen Elizabeth. As we go now to Copps Coliseum, you're going to have a look inside where roughly 17,000 people are gathered. You're seeing it live as it happens at the Coliseum in Hamilton. The excitement is building as the very final preparations are done for the visit of Queen Elizabeth II, and that visit will begin in just about 15 minutes' time. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to special live coverage on CH of the Queen's Royal Jubilee visit to our city of Hamilton. This is going to be a very exciting hour.
It sure is. We're most excited here in the studio. The Queen is going to be here in Hamilton for just about 35 minutes, and her agenda has been planned with military precision right down to the last second. As we speak, we want to show you the view of the Queen's motorcade, which has not yet left Sheridan College in Oakville. This is where she spent the last couple of hours. You can see the Honor Guard, the RCMP officer waiting to open the car door for Her Majesty. She'll begin the trip to Hamilton from Oakville. She was there for to tour the new media center at Sheridan, the journalism program, and it was a very exciting visit for them. We'll have some highlights momentarily, but there looks like some action happening there. Yeah, the crowd is actually growing there, and we have our Annette Hamm there as well, and we're going to be joining her to find out more about what is happening there. So let's join her down at Sheridan College.
Dan.
Annette? Hi.
I guess the excitement is building in Hamilton. We can see the large number of people there. Most of the people here in Oakville have left, but there's a group of loyal royal watchers here, ready to see Her Majesty as her motorcade comes from behind the wall here and comes through. And there's probably about, I'd say maybe 500-600 people here waiting to see her go by. It was such excitement when she arrived at about 12:25 this afternoon. The crowd was amazing. Everybody was hyped up for this, and the tour inside. We were talking to Shireen Mansour, CH reporter, who's also the coordinator of the new media program here, talking about how exciting it was for her. We're going to be talking to her in just a few moments as well. She has had the opportunity to have lunch with Her Majesty this afternoon, and she'll be talking about that experience. We are still now waiting for the Queen to arrive for her motorcade. She, I understand, is running right on time. So we'll just go back to you, probably for a live shot. You can see on the other side of the building, probably better than we can.
That's right. Thank you, Annette. Yes, about 2 minutes and 30 seconds late, but that's not a big deal.
On a whole day's affair at this point in the afternoon, I'd say that's doing pretty well.
That's right. Now, the Queen, of course, is going, and we're going to show you her motorcade route as she makes her way down the Queen Elizabeth Way and arrives in Hamilton. But when she arrives in Hamilton, she will be greeted by hundreds of people outside Copps Coliseum and 17,000 people inside Copps Coliseum. And in the midst of that crowd, my goodness, having a wonderful day, let's join CH's Connie Smith.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Heather. Well, yes, between 16 and 17,000 people are filling the
Okay, apparently we have a small technical problem. We'll get that solved in a moment. I know Connie was saying something about the 16 to 17,000 people that are gathered there. And this is one of the venues, one of the few venues where the Queen is actually going to address the populace at large, which is kind of nice for us.
One of four on this visit across, and it's most exciting. She is the Colonel-in-Chief of the Argyll and Sutherland Highlanders, of course, and we'll be talking to them about their new colors in just a few minutes, and we're going to show you all of those highlights, of course, as our special royal coverage continues. But let's talk a little bit about what happened in Oakville, because it was a big excitement. This animation program at Sheridan College in Oakville is very, very famous around the world, and she wanted to take a tour of that.
She did, and she's a very contemporary woman. She knows a lot about us, and she knows a lot about that she visits, because she's expressed an interest in actually visiting this location because of its history and its reputation. Here we see the Queen's entourage arriving just outside of Sheridan College, accompanied, of course, by an RCMP officer. As she departs the car, she is met by several dignitaries, among them, of course, the Premier of the province of Ontario, Ernie Eves, and his partner, Elizabeth Bassett, and, of course, several other dignitaries, many from the college itself, specifically the gentleman who is the present Chief Executive Officer, Dr. Robert Turner, who is going to momentarily
escort her back out, yes.
Yeah, and see her on her way down to Hamilton. We're still awaiting that shot. We could break away from this at any moment, but she then traveled into the college itself and met with several of the students and had a look at some of their work, which was recognized as being world-class. A lot of the students have ended up in Disney Studios and DreamWorks and several other of the best animation facilities.
Movies like Shrek, they've all come out of that particular animation center, so very excited. It's a very advanced program and facility at Sheridan College, and she seemed most impressed by it. She had a chance. We're going to talk to Shireen in a few minutes, but she had a chance to actually watch as her royal visit was connected to the World Wide Web, and she was quite intrigued by that. Now, we sorted out our audio problems. As you can imagine, with a program of this nature, there's a lot of technical intricacy material to do, but we can go back to Copps Coliseum now. CH's Connie Smith is joining us, surrounded by 17,000 people. Looks like a solemn moment at Copps right now. Connie, what's happening where you are?
Well, right now, Heather, the entertainment, the celebration portion of the program has ended, and what you're looking at now, it's the final trooping of the former colors and the consecration of the new colors in advance of the arrival of the Queen in just about 10-15 minutes from now. So this is a rather sharp contrast to the celebration that took place for the first 2 hours. Now it's a much more serious, much more actually religious ceremony that's going on right now. But again, yes, 17,000 people have been anxiously awaiting the arrival of the Queen for the last 2.5 hours. All the dignitaries are seated at one end of the Coliseum, the veterans at the far east end. We're standing by to talk to some of them at the completion of the military services. As well, our Lieutenant Governor, Lincoln Alexander, has taken his seat among the dignitaries. We have wives of the soldiers here, and at the far end here we have little Katie Compton and Max Ballinson, who are getting ready to present their flowers to the Queen, and that will happen just before the walkabout at this end of the Coliseum. And there they are. Are you nervous? Are you okay? Yes, they're ready to go, and Max looks so wonderful in his Argyle uniform. Now, these are two kids of the soldiers, and their names were picked by draw, so they are the lucky ones who will be meeting the Queen very shortly. Back to you, Heather and Dan.
Well, all right, thanks, Connie.
Yeah, we will come back momentarily, because we just want to make mention to our audience and to the people at Copps who are watching us, no doubt, on the big screen down there. The Queen's entourage is just in the process of leaving Sheridan College. We're having a look at the helicopter shot high above the college itself, and they're all getting ready to load into the cars and to come to Hamilton.
That's right. And just momentarily we'll be seeing the Queen leave Sheridan College. People gathered outside the college as of 7 o'clock this morning, and some of the monarchists and royal watchers and fans had come from Midwestern U.S. states. They were absolutely excited to see Her Majesty, particularly during this Royal Jubilee tour as we celebrate her 50 years on the throne. And she has received, and we'll talk to some of our guests in our studio momentarily about this, but literally armloads of flowers. I don't think there's a flower shop in Oakville that has any stock left after all of the children in the area presented beautiful bouquets. It's safe to say that would be the case right
across the country.
I think that is true. I think that the outpouring, the thanks, the gratitude to the Queen for her 50 years of rule has been quite touching.
She has a remarkable connection to Canada. We can talk about this too momentarily when things start to slow down a little. The Queen is just getting ready to leave Sheridan College now, but she has had 9 lieutenant governors during her reign, and she has had 9 prime ministers during her reign,
right.
Going back to Louis Saint Laurent. And there's people going to this college today who wouldn't even remember who that would be.
I think that's very
amazing.
true. Or Vincent Massey, who was the Governor General when she first took the throne. Coronation in 1953, of course, took over in 1952. But a lot of people, we've heard a lot of people, for example, during CH Talk Live, people who remember Queen Elizabeth's visit to Hamilton the last time, 1959, when she presented the Argyles with the colors that are going to be replaced today. But they have fond memories of her, and in 1951 when she was the princess, when she was here before.
The other thing that a lot of Canadians don't understand is she has been to every province, and she has now, with this visit, been to every territory. She has been to more of our country during her reign as Queen than most Canadians. She has seen more of Canada than we have as Canadian citizens in most cases.
That's a bit sad, isn't it?
Well, when you think about it, it's a very big country, but she has had the opportunity over her 20, I guess this would be the 21st visit in total.
And she spoke of that bond when she arrived in Nunavut to begin this tour. She talked about how she'd watched Canada grow throughout her 50 years, how she'd watched the country grow on the global stage, and how proud, I think, she was of her close connection with this country and watching the evolution of our country.
Well, we've been talking extensively about the Queen and what is going on, and I think the Queen is here, of course, to mark her Golden Jubilee, which is her 50 years on the throne that we've mentioned already. But she has, as we said, been here now, I think, 21st visit with this particular visit. And she is preparing And the entourage is preparing now to leave Sheridan College, which means she's just a couple of minutes
She's a
behind
little bit
schedule
late.
again.
And that's unusual, isn't it? Because it's handled so precisely. But I'm not sure what the impact will be on, of course, the Hamilton celebrations, because she was supposed to be arriving in Hamilton at about this time. So
Right.
we're all been delayed slightly, but it's not a problem because people are very patiently waiting. Again, in Hamilton, the people were outside Copps Coliseum at about 9 o'clock this morning because dedicated royal watchers want to be outside to watch her go by. They don't want to be inside. They want to just watch the motorcade pass and see her in that way.
And we'll have the opportunity to do so all the way down York Boulevard and all the way up to Copps Coliseum in a short, wrong way on Bay Street for a brief moment.
That's right.
It's been closed, though, because of the royal visit, so that's the only area that actually is closed for today, which is a first, too, I understand. Let's introduce our guest now, and we can talk further about the royal visit in anticipation of what's about to happen here as we come to Hamilton.
Well, Dr. Robert Fraser is right beside me, and Dr. Robert Fraser is a historian and also the chair of the historical committee of the Argyll and Sutherland Highlanders. And welcome to you. We're very glad to have you here in your beautiful Fraser tartan.
Thank you very much.
Most appropriate given given the ceremony we're going to see shortly.
Absolutely.
And beside Robert Fraser, we have, of course, John Amers, who is the Dominion chair of the Monarchist League, and welcome to you. Thanks to you.
Thanks,
John
Heather.
was here, of course,
John
for
was
Talk
here for
Live,
Talk Live, yeah.
we're getting double duty from you as well. Good to have you here. Maybe we can talk. Maybe we can talk with Robert Fraser first of all. This is a huge moment, I would think, for the Argyll and Sutherland Highlanders. I'll just call them the Argylls for the course of this hour. But tell me what this day, how excited they must be, and what it means to them today.
I think probably the reality of it is just being felt now by most of the people on parade. I mean, certainly last night after dress rehearsal, back at the armories, and the tension was palpable. People anxious. Normally they'd hang around, have a couple of drinks, but people were nervous looks on their faces. This is probably the largest viewership for any Argyll parade in our almost 100 years of history. I mean, we've had parades where we've had more people on parade, ones which were more significant, you know, the celebration at the ends of each of the two wars. But in terms of a large gathering, a large number of people, television cameras, which is really pretty new for us, this is a pretty big event.
Big deal.
I think, too, a lot of us, because the wars have been so far removed, they're so far down the road for many of our people these days, they don't know the importance of the Queen's connection to the Argylls. And she has, during her entire reign, John, correct me if I'm wrong, followed the history, followed the families, the troops. She has been very supportive, very interested in everything that the Argyll and Sutherland Highlanders are involved in and do, be it in peacekeeping or relief of disaster, crisis situations of that sort.
Absolutely, Dan. As with the other regiments that she and other members of the royal family are colonel-in-chief in Canada, she's the head of each of these regimental families, keeps in close touch with what is an extended family, something that personalizes what can be at times a very inhumane and difficult